ready to take your oath? Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I hereby declare on oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince, potentate, state or sovereignty, of which or whom I have heretofore been a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that I will bear arms on behalf of the United States when required by law, that I will perform non-combatant service in the armed forces of the United States when required by law, that I will perform work of national importance under civilian direction when required by law, and that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. So help me God. Congratulations.
This year we've decided to do something a little different for our remarks portion of the ceremony. We've decided that three of you, our newly naturalized citizens, are going to speak about what it feels like to become an American citizen by answering the question, what does becoming a U.S. citizen mean to you?
America has truly encouraged me to be a great human being and to use my gifts and talents to help others and to contribute to the goods of this nation and the world. Again, I congratulate you on becoming citizens of this great country and challenge you to use your rights and make a difference in your new country and the world. Thank you.
If I were to try and pinpoint a pivotal moment in time, it was on that day, the day of an attack on our freedom. If you were there, nobody asked what nationality you were. It was a shared, horrifying experience.
I love how Americans just exhibit the love for the country so much. They put their lives on the line to protect the rights, peace, and freedom of their fellow citizens. And I want to be part of it. So thank you again so much for the trust and for your support. I congratulate everyone. I won't disappoint. And God bless the United States of America.
Thanks to all of you for being here. It's a real honor to be here at the home plate of the Constitution, the base of the Constitution, to speak on Constitution Day about the Constitution. There are many rights under the Constitution that we understand sufficiently well as a society and that are sufficiently honored and respected, revered, and followed as a society that we can reasonably hope and expect our government officials will follow them. Most of the time, for example, if you get pulled over for a speeding infraction, the officer is not going to ask you for proof of where you went to church on Sunday. If that ever does happen, please call me. That's a problem. They can't do that. You probably are not going to be arrested if you advocate for a cause or a candidate of your choice. The First Amendment would prohibit that too. If that ever happens, please call me. They can't do that. But there are other rights under our Constitution that aren't always as obvious. And for our rights to be meaningful, for us to be able to assert them, we have to be able to understand them. For us to be able to fully understand them and appreciate them and be passionate about them enough that we can and we will assert them and protect them and defend them. Sometimes it's helpful for us to know the stories behind those provisions of the Constitution, to be able to put them in historical context so that when we see a constitutional violation, we recognize it. Not only will we recognize it, but we'll see and feel at a visceral level the importance of asserting that right. So I'd like to talk to you today about a few of our rights in the Constitution, some of which I have addressed in my book, Our Lost Constitution, which came out in April. By the way, all 12 people who have read it so far have really enjoyed it.
It's a pleasure to welcome you to the 9th Annual State of the Constitution Lecture at the National Archives, presented in partnership with the Robert H. Smith Center for the Constitution at James Madison's Montpelier. We're very happy to have you here tonight, whether you're here in the McGowan Theater or joining us through our YouTube channel.
Well, let's begin. Stephen, I want to throw it to you. You're the co-founder of the Millennial Action Project, and maybe you could define for us, what is a millennial? Who are we really talking about tonight?
Well, first of all, thank you, Doug, and to James Madison's Montpelier, the Center for the Constitution, the Millennial Action Project staff and community that's come out for us, everyone who's tuned in online, to my fellow panelists, Mary Catherine, Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, Congressman Will Hurd. It's an honor to be here, and thank you for coming for an important conversation about this next generation that is going to revitalize our constitutional democracy.
And I think the biggest misperception has to do with mistaking this big level of disconnect that millennials have with government and with kind of the institutions as we've known them, and the fact that people perceive that to mean that they don't care, they only care about themselves, they're the most selfish generation, the most inward generation, when, as Stephen said, the absolute opposite is true.
But are they ready to step up and run the country?
As millennials become the largest generational cohort in the United States, we need them. They're going to be the ones that are going to get us past all this partisanship here in Washington, D.C. We need them more involved politically. We need them. You know, voting is not the pinnacle of civic activity. It's the floor, in my opinion. And the more we see millennials getting involved in political campaigns, in issue-oriented activities, that's where you're going to see the narrative and the focus up here in Washington, D.C. change.
I think often in Washington, too many panels start from the supposition that, hey, this government thing is awesome. How do we get more people involved by explaining how awesome it is, which is a good first step. You could also make it awesomer, so they want to be involved. And I think that's a good way of thinking about it when you're pitching to millennials.
I think James Madison was the millennial of the Founding Fathers. And I think that's something we should all aspire to. And I think all of us as millennials, especially those who are here, I mean, look at this room. We have a room filled of young people. We have people online. All of you are showing up for democracy right now at the place that holds the Constitution. So it's now on us to live out those aspirations, to live out that legacy that James Madison had envisioned for all of us.